And so to talk a lot more about some of the changes that have come in the wake of these deadly shootings, I do want to now bring into the conversation Brittany Gibson with Axios. Brittany, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. Let's start with the very basics. Obviously, the biggest news that came out today is that Tom Homan is officially on the ground there in Minnesota, following up on some of these operations that have been happening there in the city under the Department of Homeland Security.
Absolutely. So Tom Homan, I think it's important to recognize or realize this. He's the border czar. He's technically under the White House umbrella, separate from DHS, even though he is a longtime veteran of immigration enforcement and was the former ICE director in Trump's first term.
This just happened. We have received confirmed reports of a major shift in the internal dynamic of the presidency. For the first time, the projection of absolute strength is cracking. We are looking at a moment that changes the trajectory of the next 2 years. At a private retreat with Republican leadership, a specific admission was made that alters the political landscape. This is not a rumor. This is a direct acknowledgement from the top. The President of the United States has signaled that he believes his removal from office is not just a threat, but a calculated certainty if he loses political cover in the House of Representatives. We are watching the collision of a constitutional crisis involving foreign military action and domestic investigations. This is about institutional survival. It is about the potential collapse of a party's defense strategy. And it is about a timeline that is moving much faster than anyone anticipated. What we are seeing now is the beginning of the most dangerous phase of this administration. Here is exactly what is happening on the ground and behind closed doors. Let's get right into the details of what is happening on the ground and inside the closed-door meetings that are shaping this crisis. We have to start with the situation in Minnesota. The biggest development today is that Tom Homan is officially on the ground in the city. This is significant because of who he represents. Homan is technically operating under the umbrella of the White House. He is separate from the Department of Homeland Security. He is a veteran of immigration enforcement and the former ICE director. His presence there signals a direct White House intervention regarding the operations that have been taking place in the city. This is a federal escalation in response to the recent violent incidents and the growing unrest. But while that operation is happening on the streets, something much more significant is happening inside the political leadership. We need to talk about what it looks like when the most powerful person in the world is scared. That is exactly what we are seeing with Donald Trump right now. He is not just worried. He is not just concerned. He is imploding over the very real possibility that Democrats are going to impeach him again for a third time. He is being completely open about this fear. This happened at a private House GOP retreat. Trump spoke directly to Republicans. He told them that they have to win the midterms. He said that if they do not win the midterms, the Democrats will find a reason to impeach him. He said, "I will get impeached." He did not say they might try. He did not say they will threaten it. He said it like it is a done deal. He believes that if Democrats take the House, his impeachment is guaranteed. This is a major departure from his usual style.
And we are continuing to watch this. We've covered several protests that have happened in different areas of the city. In fact, just a little while ago, we even had a live shot of a growing vigil that was growing in the city as well. And so we'll continue to keep our eyes on that here on Live Now from Fox. Responding, Axios, your outlet, is now reporting on Hakeem Jeffries' latest message to Trump, saying to fire Christy Noem or we move to impeachment. In fact, this was just put out a little while ago. And so, of course, he is the House Democratic leader.
Trump does not usually admit vulnerability. He usually projects strength and confidence. He usually says he is winning even when he is losing. But on the issue of impeachment, he is terrified. He is letting that fear show to his own party. And he is not wrong to be scared. Democrats are not just talking about impeachment in a vague way. They are building the case right now. The case they are building covers two specific fronts. First, they are pointing to Venezuela. Trump launched an unauthorized military strike. He captured Nicolas Maduro. He seized control of Venezuelan oil assets. He did all of this without congressional approval. Democrats are calling this an illegal invasion. They are calling it a constitutional violation. They are saying he started a war to control oil. Progressives like Representative Delia Ramirez and Representative Dan Goldman are explicitly saying that Trump must be impeached for this. They argue that what he did in Venezuela was not just bad policy, but an impeachable offense. The second front is the domestic situation. This includes the events in Minneapolis. It includes the actions of South Dakota Governor Christy Noem regarding her statements about the casualties. It includes the handling of the Epstein files under Kash Patel. It includes a pattern of weaponizing federal agencies against political enemies. Democrats are saying that all of this together creates a stack of high crimes and misdemeanors. We are also seeing reports regarding Hakeem Jeffries. He is the House Democratic Leader. He has sent a message to Trump. The message is that he must fire Christy Noem or the Democrats will move toward impeachment. This is a direct ultimatum. Democrats are saying that if they win the House in 2026, they are not waiting. They will move immediately. They will impeach cabinet officials. They will use every tool they have. Trump knows they are serious. He knows that if Democrats flip the House even by just a few seats, impeachment is coming. He cannot stop it. All he can do is beg Republicans to hold their majority. He is telling them that they have to win because his survival depends on it. He has been impeached twice already. Both times, he survived because the Senate acquitted him. But a third impeachment establishes a pattern. It shows a president who keeps violating the Constitution. Democrats are being very strategic about this. They are not rushing into it right now while they are in the minority. They are learning from the past. They know that the first two impeachments did not remove him. They remember the political backlash. So this time they are building a methodical case. They are documenting everything. They are getting members on record. They are drafting articles. They are telling voters that if they want accountability, they must vote for Democrats in 2026. This makes the 2026 election a clear choice. The question for voters will be whether they want Trump to act without consequences or if they want oversight. For voters who are exhausted by the drama, that is a compelling message. Trump is trying to flip the script. He is telling Republicans that Democrats are obsessed with impeachment. He says they are not focused on real issues. He says they just hate him and want to destroy him. He is warning that if Democrats win, they will waste 2 years on partisan investigations instead of governing. Trump is betting that he can use the fear of impeachment to motivate his supporters. He wants to make them scared of what happens if Democrats win. He wants to turn impeachment from a weakness into a strength. But there is a problem with that strategy. It only works if his base turns out in massive numbers. It only works if swing voters buy his argument. Right now, with the situation in Venezuela and the unrest in Minneapolis, many swing voters are thinking that maybe he should be held accountable. This is devastating for Trump. It means the threat of impeachment might actually help Democrats. It validates their argument that he is out of control. So Trump is imploding. He is admitting his fear publicly. He is begging Republicans to save him. He knows that if the House flips in 2026, the process begins. And this time, with the specific charges regarding Venezuela and domestic abuses, it might actually matter. We need to stop and look at why this specific moment is so different from what we have seen before. We have seen political battles in Washington for decades. We have seen impeachment threats before. But this situation has a different weight to it. It is about the fundamental structure of power and how institutions react when they are pushed to their breaking point. The first thing to understand is the change in the psychology of the leadership. In political history, leaders survive by projecting invincibility. When a leader admits that their opponents have the power to destroy them, it changes the calculation for everyone around them. By telling his own party that impeachment is inevitable if they lose an election, Trump has removed the idea that he is untouchable. He has confirmed that his safety depends entirely on a political majority, not on the law or the facts of his actions. This is a dangerous position for any leader. It signals to his allies that he is weak. It signals to his enemies that he knows he is guilty of something that cannot be defended. We also need to look at the specific nature of the allegations. In the past, impeachments have often been complex. They involved phone calls or financial records that were hard for the average person to follow. This is different. The issue with Venezuela is about war powers. It is about the president taking military action and seizing assets without asking Congress. This is a very simple concept. The Constitution says Congress declares war. If the president ignores that it is a direct challenge to the system of government, it is not a gray area. It is a fundamental question of who is in charge. When we compare this to history, we can look at moments where presidents overstep their authority. But usually there is a debate. There is a legal argument. In this case, the action was taken unilaterally. The seizure of oil assets adds another layer. It makes it look like a conquest for resources. That is something that connects with voters on a visceral level. It looks like the kind of thing that happens in history books, not in a modern democracy. Then you have the domestic situation. The use of federal agents in cities like Minneapolis is a flashpoint. It creates a visual of a government at war with its own people. When you combine that with the allegations against cabinet officials like Christy Noem, it creates a picture of an administration that is not following the rules. It feels chaotic, and chaos is the one thing that institutions hate. Institutions rely on order. They rely on procedure. When a leader bypasses procedure repeatedly, the institutions eventually fight back. That is what the Democrats are doing. They are using the institutional tool of impeachment to fight back against what they see as chaos. We also have to look at the strategy of waiting. In the past, there was a rush. There was a sense of urgency to get it done. Now the Democrats are treating this like a long-term legal case. They are waiting for the election. They are making the election a referendum on the law. This is a high-stakes gamble. It means that the entire election of 2026 is going to be about one man and his legal standing. It sucks the oxygen out of every other issue. It means we are not talking about the economy or healthcare. We are talking about the survival of the presidency. This creates a polarization that is deeper than what we have seen. If you are a supporter of the president, you see this as a permanent witch hunt. You see a system that will not let him govern. If you are an opponent, you see a criminal who is holding the country hostage. There is no middle ground here, and that lack of middle ground is what makes this so dangerous. When there is no middle ground, political battles become existential. They become about survival. The fear that Trump is showing is a recognition of this reality. He knows that a third impeachment is not just a stain on his record. It is a dismantling of his legacy. It frames his entire time in power as a period of lawlessness. And for a historical figure, legacy is everything. If the history books write that he was the only president to be impeached 3 times, that becomes the first sentence of his biography. It overshadows everything else. That is why he is terrified. It is not just about losing office. It is about losing his place in history. Now we need to look at what happens next. The consequences of this situation are going to play out in both the short term and the long term. We can predict some of these outcomes based on the logic of the situation and the patterns we are already seeing. In the short term, the immediate consequence is total legislative paralysis. Because Trump has framed the 2026 midterm elections as a battle for his survival, every single vote in Congress will be viewed through that lens. Republicans will be under immense pressure to defend the president at all costs. Democrats will be under immense pressure to attack him. This means no bipartisan bills. It means no cooperation on basic governance. The government will effectively stop functioning as a legislative body and turn into a campaign machine. Every hearing, every statement, every committee meeting will be about building the case for or against impeachment. For the voters, the consequence is an election cycle that is incredibly negative. The message from the White House is going to be based on fear. They will tell voters that the opposition is dangerous and vindictive. The message from the Democrats is going to be based on danger. They will tell voters that the president is a threat to the Constitution. This creates an environment where anger is the primary currency. It drives turnout, but it also drives division. We will likely see increased tension in communities, at protests, and in the daily discourse of the country. Looking further ahead, if the Democrats do win the House in 2026, the consequences are severe. We know they will move to impeach. That is a certainty. This means the country will go through another Senate trial. Even if the Senate does not convict, the process itself paralyzes the executive branch. A White House under impeachment cannot focus on foreign policy or the economy. It has to focus on legal defense. It consumes the time and energy of every staffer. It drains the political capital of the president. There is also the risk of normalization. If impeachment becomes a standard tool that is used every time the opposing party takes the House, it loses its power. It stops being a solemn constitutional remedy and becomes just another political weapon. This damages the institution of Congress. It makes it harder to hold future presidents accountable because the public will just see it as politics as usual. However, if Republicans hold the House, the consequences are just as significant. Trump will interpret a victory as a mandate. He will see it as permission to continue the actions in Venezuela and the domestic operations in cities like Minneapolis. If he admits he is scared of impeachment, then removing that threat emboldens him. It removes the check on his power. We could see an acceleration of the policies that are currently causing so much controversy. We also have to consider the Republican Party itself. There is a split forming. There are those who are loyal to Trump and those who are tired of the constant crisis. If Trump drags the party into a losing battle over his own legal troubles, that split will widen. We might see a reshaping of the conservative coalition. Ultimately, the next 2 years are going to be defined by this conflict. The stability of the government is on the line. The precedent for how we handle presidential power is on the line. We are moving into a period where the rules are being rewritten in real time. The fear that is visible in the White House suggests that they know the old rules no longer apply. They know that the protective walls are coming down, and when the walls come down, anything can happen. We are going to see a fight for control that is more intense than anything we have seen in modern American politics.